Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing some updates on some stuff that we've been talking over the last few weeks, and of course the reviews I promised you last time. First of all, the first news we have is that My Dying Bride is going to release a 3-part EP, which is going to be working, it's still not titled, it's going to be released on later this year, but it's effectively just one track that's going to be divided on 3 parts. Because it's gonna be just one song. It's gonna be over 25 minutes long. It's gonna be divided into 3 parts, and it's one of the reasons why their upcoming long play album, new album, it's gonna be late because they're gonna be tackling this during August, and then they're gonna be working on the album later. But apparently it's gonna be a taste of things to come. So you gotta be up for it or ready for it. We also talked about Einherjer's new album, Mourning, and now we already talked when it's going to be coming out and everything, but now we have the track listing. It's going to be 6 tracks long, sorry, and it's going to be, first it's going to have, the first one's going to called Norncraft, the second one's is called Naglfar, the third one's called Alu Alu Laukar, the fourth, it's Bardenbrenne, the fifth is Mourning, and the 6th is Baladem on Bifrost. So apparently it's going to be a short album. If I remember correctly, Einherjer has, it's not one of those bands that does a lot of long songs, but apparently it's going to be a short album. It's still, I'm sure it's going to be a really good one. The next news we have is that we have talked about one of my favorite bands before, Iced Earth, and we talked about Dystopia. We already, if I'm not mistaken, already shared the album. If not, I will be sharing this after recording this. But apparently it's gonna, although it's not gonna be, the whole album is not about a concept album as it would be, but there's gonna be some common themes running through the album. It's gonna be apparently it's gonna be like it's gonna be having a lot of ideas on humanity being controlled over by some mysterious force. Most of them, and he thought you should think about it more like Dark City, Soylent Green, Before Vendetta, Blade Runner, or Brave New World. Some stuff that goes into representing a dystopian society where humanity is controlled by some higher force that nobody understands. And there's apparently 2 tracks that are based on the Something Wicked storyline. The first one being Dystopia and the other being Tragedy and Triumph. And apparently it's the reason why, that's the reason why Seth Abominate is also once again on the cover of Iced Earth album. Not so much because they fit, not so much because they're part of the actual storyline, but because they have some resonance to it. It would be like the continuation after everything has, that the storylines on Something Wicked has come true, has become part of the storyline on the albums, and the natural evolution of such stories. Apparently, it's a good story. I still have to check it out profoundly. The second part, or the second 2 albums that have the stories on it, but I think the story is moving on quite well. The 4th story we know that the new Absu band, the new album by mystical, mythological metal band called Absu from Dallas are going to be releasing their new album, which is going to be called also Absu with a Z, on October the 4th through Candlelight Records. We already have the track listing, and we already posted the cover art for it. It's going to be mixed by JT Longoria, who's worked with King Diamond, Soy to the Eternus, and it features the artwork by Vigny Vielak, which has already done work for Behemoth, Valentine, Destroyer 666, and Vader. And it's gonna be 6 songs long. It's gonna be featuring Earth Reaper, Circles of the Oath, Abraxas Connexus, Skyrim, skying into the spirit vision ontologically. It became time and space, a song for Ea, which is divided apparently into at least 6 parts, which includes Ea, a myriad of portals, third tablet, Warren of Imul, the waters, the denizens, and a reprise of Ea. I think it's gonna be an interesting album. I'm gonna be trying to check it out. Another new we have is that Mike Portnoy has, joined forces with guitarist vocalist John Sykes from Whitesnake and Blue Mirror and Thin Lizzy, and they've created a new and of course an undisclosed bassist in a new band, a new power trio. The band has already recorded 12 songs or demoed 12 songs in Los Angeles studios, with some of the tracks being described as something between Zeppelin and Sabbath, and the other as being somewhere between Pink Floyd and Deep Purple. Apparently this also, apparently the band is, as Portnoy says, a completely ridiculous modern day power trio, and it's called also as a real band, such as Adrenaline Mob is not just something, not just a side project. And he says that if somebody like Corey Taylor and Jim Root and Mike Patton and Joe Satriani and Chad Smith and whatever and Zach Wild and all of those guys that divide their time among many bands can do it, why can't he? He's going to be doing a lot of his best to divide his time amongst his 2 bands, so it's gonna be interesting too. There's the new this band from Germany called Mourning, which I haven't heard. They have signed a deal with MDD Records for the release of their new album, which is gonna be called Deep Wounds and Bright Scars, and there's which is gonna be having 9 tracks plus a cover of Blackout by Scorpions. And there are some of the album is one of the some of the heaviest stuff that they've done ever. The album is tentatively due to come out in the early November, and it was mastered by Ulf Horvath at DMS in Germany, and it features illustrations by Bjorn Guzes, and it has also, it doesn't say here exactly where in this album, but it has some participation by Michael Stan from Dark Tranquillity, so that's one of the reasons why I'm definitely going to be checking it out. But I think I'm gonna give those guys a chance, not just because of Michael, but because I think they have something good to show. Is gonna be releasing their 4th album. It's gonna be called Celestial Lineage. It has 7 songs long. It features the covers done by Alison Scarpula. The packaging was designed by Aaron Turner of ISIS. It's the continuation of his previous albums, Black Cascade and Two Hunters, and it also features the voice just as in Two Hunters by Jessica Key, and also features some vocals by Aaron Turner from ISIS. That song is going to be called, like I said, 7 songs. It has Thuja Majo's Imperium, Permanent Changes in Consciousness, Subterranean Initiation, Rainbow Illness, Woodland Cathedral, and Astral Blood, and Prayer of Transformation. And apparently it's gonna be like like one of the best albums that they're gonna be having. If you know, this guy's Wolves and Children, one of the most interesting black metal bands to come out of the US. But these aren't guys that that go for the corpse paint, but rather they focus on the music, And apparently one of the reasons the album is interesting is also the final release to be recorded at the LF Studios, where some of the albums by Sano, Boris, Cape Singers, Bjork, and Earth have been recorded, and it's one of the greatest albums. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about in this week is by now you surely all know about the tragedy that struck Norway in last weekend, where some guys went nuts and killed around 77 persons and wounded 96 persons because they were deluded about I haven't read the manifest itself because it's very, very long, but from what I gather on the news is that these guys thought that they were being manipulated or whatever, and they killed a lot of people. I hope those of you who are into metal and know some of your metal history know that you should be mourning for metal, for metal and for Norway, because you know there's a lot of good bands and good things that have come out metal wise in Norway, and I think they deserve our support, just as I would like people to, as I have some of you to support Japan and other peoples that have gone to troubles. And of course this one is one of that hits home for a lot of metalheads, not because only because it's Norway, but also because we are usually the ones being pointed out when a lot of people, when some stuff like this happens. Usually the blame falls into metalheads, and this time I think we are vindicated to show people that it's not always the metalheads, but sometimes it's some other people, you know, who are crazy and who are doing the wrong stuff. Our prayers go to those who have lost their families in Norway, and of course there's a lot of opinions going around there by a lot of people, but I think some people should just keep their opinions to themselves and just you know, give their best wishes for the people who have lost their families. And now I'm gonna be talking to you about two albums that are very important to me, or rather that I think are very good. One of them is considered alternative rock. The other is actually pushing the boundaries of what progressive metal is. The first one I'm going to be talking to you is In Your Room by Annique again, or rather Agua de Annique, you know, the project she made after she got out from the Gathering. It's the second album, the second studio album, the third album by the band. And it features 12 songs, some of them co-written by Devin Townsend, and one of them co-written by some of the band members and the producer. It's a very easy listening rock, more like what you would find perhaps in Alanis Morissette album. But I think it's very interesting to see how somebody who was, you know, heralded one of the best voices in metal, can do something very different. Actually, most of her work in post the Gathering has been very easy listening, but I think it's very good. I would recommend that you listen to it, especially Hey Okay and of course Sunny Side Up, which one are some of my favorite songs. Also Physical is one of the great songs. It's 12 songs long. It's about an hour, if I'm not mistaken, long, and I think you guys should check it out just to wet yourself with something that is different from the band, from the usual metal. What else do I want to talk about? I want to talk also to you about, like I promised, about Anathema's A Natural Disaster, which is released on the 3rd of November in 2003, almost 8 years ago. One of the greatest albums that I ever heard. It's I was back then listening to most of progressive metal, and or rather you know, different kind of metal. I was looking for something that wasn't, you know, heavy or, you know, by very dark or death metal, and I got this album. It's 10 songs long. It's about just under an hour long, and of course it features the voices and guitar playing of both Vincent and David Cavanaugh. It's also the first one to feature the return of Jamie Cavanaugh on guitar, on bass playing, if I'm not mistaken, who had been away from the band for a long time, if I'm not mistaken. I remember that he wasn't for A Fine Day to Exit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was not on the Fine Day to Exit, which had come out in 2001, and I think he left on For Eternity, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, you know, it's about this point in the band where Anathema once again becomes a family affair, you know, where once again you have about 3 or 4 of the Cavanaugh brothers doing a lot of the band work, you know. It's a great album. It's, like I said, it's almost an hour long. It's just under 3 minutes, but it's very progressive. It has a lot of I remember this album when it came out, some people were comparing them to Pink Floyd, and I can't really blame them. It's a trip to listen to these albums, and you guys should check it out. Other than that, good luck for next week, and I'll see you next week, guys.